the announcement of qualified candidates for president. A big, big day today. Today, all the candidates who filed their nomination will land their fate. Today, they will all know their fate as to where they stand, where they are qualified to stand and contest the next month's presidential election or not. A massive over 2 dozen leaders all submitted their nomination credentials to officials of the Independent Electoral Commission. There was a vetting exercise today, which started at 8 a.m. and ended at 12 p.m., where the public had a chance to view the documents that have been presented by the leaders who are all interested in this job. So the election is coming and coming fast, just a few weeks to go. So the vetting is done. Now what is going to happen here is a press conference by officials of the Independent Electoral Commission, headed by their leader, Aliou Momar Njie. They will tell us who is qualified in terms of the documents, the requirements, and who is not. I have Basamba Drame. I will also be joined by Bankamane a little later. Basanga, thank you for being here.
Thank you, my brother.
So as we are await the arrival of the IEC officials for this press conference, today is the announcement. Everyone, the leaders will get to knowing whether they are qualified or not. What do you make of that?
What an interesting day for Gambian politics. What a test for our democracy. I think for the first time in the history of Gambian politics, something like this, an anticipation of this level have never been seen in Gambian politics. The media houses, every media house is allowed to give a coverage on the whole process from nomination from nomination to public scrutiny up to the last day today. And all of our viewers, are interested in the outcomes of this. I don't know whether to call it approval or disapproval, or I don't know how to call it, but I think Gambians are very, 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 very concerned about the outcome of the selection and I'm sure that we have over a dozen of candidates who are running for presidency. But then this is the crossing point. If you cannot make it here, there is no way. And I think of course, Lamin, a lot of these candidates were here today this morning. They wanted to know. Because there were a lot of.
So a lot of the candidates were here themselves.
Yes, this morning. Yes. And then they wanted to know because like a lot of rumors online. People were like, saying that some other candidates are not qualified. And it's like okay, they were passing, sending their informants to come and see whether information were leaked or not. But at the end of the day, I think 5 o'clock today is going to be a big determinant in the Gambian history.
So in terms of the public scrutiny there, in terms of the way the IEC went about it, I have seen journalists complain that they were giving people only 5 minutes. No recorder is allowed. You are not allowed to bring your camera in. You are not even allowed to enter with your notepad to make jottings especially regarding some of the documents. For example, the assets declaration. I have seen some people. I think that also gave some of the reporters some issues in terms of reporting how much some of the leaders are worth. For example, President Barrow, you have some that are reporting that he's worth over 200 million, and then you have these other reports that are saying 50 million.
I think IEC, they have their standard procedures. They're following their procedures. I don't think the public scrutiny would be that extensive. I don't think it could happen because the time span given between 8 and 11, I think was about 3 hours, was not sufficient. But I think what had happened was that media houses citizens were allowed, if you come with a voter's card, you're allowed to come for several minutes. At a population of 2 million people, you cannot be given 10 or 20 minutes. You can't have more than 5 minutes. In fact, for me, I think 5 minutes was too much to be given. But I think, they have their standard set rules. They followed that, and I think also there is nothing as democratic as what we are experiencing in the Gambian political history. But I think, Lamin, of course, the asset declaration, of course, I have seen a lot of inconsistent information on social media. I'm not gonna go by them. I think I will wait until I see the documents from IEC. Then I will start giving my assessment or my opinion on those assets declared.
So the reporters here have all taken their positions. It is the press conference, the news conference there by the Independent Electoral Commission, the announcement of the qualified candidates. We've seen the past week a staggering 26 people expressed interest in the job of president. At least 23 appeared before officials of the IEC and submitted their credentials, their documents regarding this election, this coming presidential election. The vetting exercise was conducted earlier today, and now the Independent Electoral Commission will tell the nation who and who are qualified and who are disqualified. So I have also seen reports that there's only been six out of the 23 who submitted, only 6 qualified.
Those are rumors. I've heard rumors before that. In
but you were here long enough since morning. So what have you been hearing from the grapevine?
These rumors didn't emanate from here. These rumors are
from the outside.
They're Facebook rumors.
Interesting. Interesting.
I mean, last night when we were here on our Just show, I'm sure we all had some rumors on social media where they said Uncle Usaino Dabo was not qualified.
Yes.
This morning I woke up with the news that Usaino obviously is qualified.
Yes.
A friend of mine, Melvin, we all know him. He's a lawyer.
Yes.
A very respected lawyer. Also,
so he said he's qualified.
He said in fact going by the law.
Yes.
Of course, the law is complex, but going by the law,
yes,
we know that we can't tell, but of course he may be qualified.
So I see the chairman. Well, very soon we will get to hearing from the officials of that's the chairman of the IEC there, Aliou Momar Njie. He's out now. He's coming to the tent now, where the press conference will be held. Big day, big moment. This is the moment where all the candidates get to learning where they stand in this election, being escorted by his security there, the 87-year-old IEC boss Aliou Momar Njie. So you were saying something, Basamba, regarding the rumors.
These are rumors. In 5-10 minutes,
okay,
everything will be revealed.
So Bangamane is here now. He has just arrived. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So
yes.
you will just yes. So you're just arriving now. Welcome.
Are you live?
Well, we are live.
Oh, okay. You guys are
big day. Big day.
Yes.
Who and who do you see qualified, and who do you see?
No, that's so hard to tell, because I mean, you have to understand there are requirements here that have to be met. And so individually, everyone has to make sure that they meet those requirements.
Yes.
And most of the time, these actions are taken by the individual to meet the requirements. Let's say, for instance, you are a dual citizen. Have you relinquished one of your citizenships? I mean, I don't know. So it all depends on those kinds of things. So it's very hard to say, oh, this person is not going to be qualified or disqualified today, when you don't know what actions they have taken already to make sure that they meet the requirements. So really, that's what that's what's going to determine how.
Now let's look at some of the leaders here. There's been a lot of talk. For example, UDP leader Usaino Dabo. You hear his people online say, "Okay, there's a plot to disqualify him," and now you hear people. Some are saying no, and this is coming from their own camp. You have some of their supporters who say, "No, we urge all of you to exercise restraint. He is qualified," and all of that. Conflicting reports.
No, I think everybody needs to just calm down and wait for the electoral party to decide who is qualified and who is not qualified. What we cannot do is to preempt these processes. In other words, people coming out and saying, yes, he's qualified or he's not qualified. I get it, it's political season. So those for Dabo will say he's qualified, those against him will say he's not qualified. Even those for Barrow will say he's qualified, those against him will say he's not qualified. But at the end of the day, I think these guys here right behind us are the ones who are being chosen, and they are the ones who have the constitutional mandate to decide.
And quickly, very soon, we will cross over to the IC chairman. Your view on the vetting, the public scrutiny earlier today?
I was a little disappointed when I heard, because I wasn't here, so I don't know what exactly transpired. But with the little things, stuff that I've been hearing here and there about people, all the media being allowed to only scrutinize for 5 minutes, for instance, how true that is, I don't know. But if those things are true, I mean, then obviously it shouldn't have gone that way. I think the media should have been given enough time, or more time, if you will, to really scrutinize this. This is about, it's public interest stuff. And anything that is public interest stuff. And when you want to run for office, you have to open yourself to public scrutiny. I mean, at the end of the day, you are going to be running a public office. So to restrict that, I think, is very unfortunate.
So in case you're just joining us, this is the Independent Electoral Commission. The chairman of the IEC is just right behind us from where we are seated. He will be speaking shortly. He will be speaking shortly regarding this big announcement. The candidates, who are qualified, who will be given the clean bill of health here today for them to be able to stand and contest next month's presidential election. So the people are praying now. So we cross over to the tent. Somebody. Move up. Dawal moom muutuma ko di.
As opposed to illegal requirement of the vote schedule by not less than 5,000 voters whose names appeared in the register of voters, with at least 200 voters being drawn from each administrative area. Joseph Henry Diouf nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 2. Mary Stoke independent. She failed on 42(2)(a), being that she did not submit the legally required number of support to nomination by registered voters. She did not fulfill the requirement contained in Section 42(3) that every nomination under Section 2 shall be subscribed by the candidate, who shall make the declaration contained in the relevant form and by the person nominated for him or her. She did not submit a signed code of conduct ethics as per Section 92(2) of the Elections Act. She did not submit the assets declaration form as per Section 42(7) of the Elections Act. Mary Stoke's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. Number 3, Alaji Mari Korang, independent. He submitted nomination forms in the name of an unregistered political party, namely GYC Change. He did not comply with 42(2)(a), being that he did not submit the legally required number of support to nomination by registered voters. Arrangement Kurang's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 4. Ibrahim Atawaromane, Independent. His immediate symbol in the name of an organized political party, PAP. He did not comply with Section 42(2)(a) of the Elections Act, being that he submitted support of nomination by less than 5,000 registered voters. Ibrahim Atawaromane's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 5. Mumoduba, Independent. He did not comply with Section 42(2)(a) in the sense that he submitted support of nominations by less than 5,000 registered voters only from West Coast region and none from other administrative areas. Mumoduba's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 6. Bankole Yao Jojo Ahadise. He did not comply with Section 42(2)(a), being that he submitted support nomination by less than 200 registered voters from some administrative areas. Bankole Yao Jojo Ahadise nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 7. ANRD Lamin Satu Bojang. He did not comply with Section 42(2)(a) in the sense that he submitted support of nomination by less than 5,000 registered voters. Lamin Satu Bojang's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1)(a) of the Act. 8. DMC My Ahmed Fati. He has not complied with Section 42(2)(a), being that in Banjul administrative area, he submitted the support of nomination by less than 200 registered voters, as opposed to the legal requirement that the candidate for election to the office of President shall be nominated in the prescribed Form 1A, Form 1 Part A of the fourth schedule by less than 5,000 voters whose names appear in the register of voters with at least 200 voters from each administrative area. My Ahmed Fati's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 9. Muhammad K.S. Kamara, Independent. He did not comply with Section 42(2)(a), being that he submitted support of nomination by less than 5,000 registered voters. He did not comply with Section 42(3) of the Elections Act, that he did not submit a declaration contained in the relevant form. He did not comply with Section 42(7) of the Elections Act, that he did not submit his assets declaration on a legally presented form. He did not submit his code of campaign ethics and thus not comply with Section 92(2) of the Elections Act. Muhammad K.S. Kamara's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 10. C.A. Ismail Sise. He has not complied with Section 42(2)(a) in that in Banjul administrative area, he submitted the support of nomination of less than 200 registered voters as opposed to the legal requirement that the candidate for election of the office of President shall be nominated in the prescribed Form 1 Part A of the fourth schedule by not less than 5,000 voters whose names appear in the register of voters with at least 200 voters from each administrative area. Ismail Sise's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 11. Ganu, JNU. Sheikh Tijan Haidara. He has not complied with Section 42(2)(a), being that in Banjul administrative area and Mantago area, he submitted the support of nomination by less than 200 registered voters respectively, as opposed to the legal requirement that the candidate for the election of the office of the President shall be nominated in the prescribed Form 1 Part A of the fourth schedule by not less than 5,000 voters whose name appear in the register of voters with at least 200 voters from each administrative area. Shizgan Haidara's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 12. Gap. Alim Sow. The nomination of Alim Sow is hereby nullified by the Independent Electoral Commission due to the fact that forgery has been detected on the support nomination form. This is classified as an offence in Section 112A of the Elections Act. Alim Sow's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 13. Sheikh Matar Nyang, independent. He did not comply with Section 42(2)A in the sense that he submitted support of nomination by less than 5,000 registered voters as opposed to the legally required number. Sheikh Matar Nyang's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 14. Papa Fall, independent. He has not complied with Section 42(2)A of the Elections Act, being that in Manchakungo administrative area, he submitted the support of nomination by less than 200 registered voters, as opposed to the legal requirement that the candidate for the election of the office of president shall be nominated in the prescribed form 1, Part A of the 4th schedule by not less than 5,000 voters whose names appear in the register of voters with at least 200 voters from each administrative area. For false nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. 15. DP Yusuf A. Dumbuya. He has not complied with Section 42(2)A, being that he submitted the support of nomination by less than 5,000 registered voters as opposed to the legally required number of at least 5,000 registered voters. Yusuf A. Dumbuya's nomination is hereby rejected in accordance with Section 47(1) of the Elections Act. And now those qualified to contest the elections come 4th December. 1. E.N.M. Seydou Dabo, duly nominated. E.N.M. Seydou Dabo's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46 of the Elections Act. 2. GDC Mama Kande. Mama Kande's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46(1) of the Elections Act. 3. Doi, UDYS, Halifa Babukar Salah, duly nominated. Halifa Babukar Salah's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46(1) of the Elections Act. 4. NPP Adama Barrow, duly nominated. Adama Barrow's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46(1) of the Elections Act. 5. Esambai Fall, independent, duly nominated. Esambai Fall's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46(1) of the Elections Act. And 6. NUP Abdullah Ibrahim Jami, duly nominated. Abdullah Ibrahim Jami's nomination is hereby accepted in accordance with Section 46(1) of the Elections Act. Well, this is it. Thank you all very much. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.
Well, here at the Independent Electoral Commission, the chairman of the IEC, Aliou Momar Njai, has just finished announcing candidates that are qualified and those that are not. A massive 15 or 16 candidates have all been rejected, they've all been disqualified. But most of them, their crime, banker, most of them, almost 90% of them, their crime is that they've not been able to bring the required number of signatures, 5,000.
Yes, meeting some of these requirements, obviously, and I like this because when you want to run for office in the country, you must show that in all the administrative districts around the country, you have exactly, you have this base over there. Otherwise, you literally would be wasting everybody's time. So I think it's a good mechanism to actually gauge who has and who doesn't have what it takes. So I mean, unfortunately, I don't know whether it's because of lack of action or activity on the part of those who have been disqualified, or I'm not sure exactly what it is. But at the end of the day, I mean, they've been disqualified simply because they don't have, most of them in their cases, don't have the required number of signatures from these various places, especially in Masakonko.
The one person that I find surprising, Dr. Ismaila Cisse in Banjul,
right?
He could not get 200 signatures, the required 200 signatures to be able to qualify, and as a result, he has been rejected. That's
why I said it probably, in some of these cases, it could have been an administrative mistake or some sort of a lack of action on their part, because like you said, in Banjul, getting 200 signatures in Banjul, I don't think should be that hard for CA. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So just to go quickly through those that have been disqualified, 16 in total, beginning with Joseph Juve, independent. He has been disqualified. You also have Marisok, disqualified, required number of signatures, assets declaration, some of his crime there. You have Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, the independent, required number of signatures. You have Ibrahim Tabora Mane, well, Tabora Mane too, but we'll get into that. He too has been rejected by the IEC. Mamadou Ba has been rejected. You have Banki too, the Rastafarian politician, has also been rejected. You have ANRD's Lamin Bojang, he too has been rejected. You also have Maifati, GMC leader, he has also been rejected for the crime of not being able to collect 5,000 signatures. You have Mamadi K.S. Kurang, who wants to end injustice in the country, has been knocked out. Dr. Ismaila Cisse. You also have Sheikh Tijan Hydra of Gano, Aliou Sow. His case is a little different. We will get into all of that. You have Sheikh Matar Nyang, independent, has also been rejected. Papa Fall, rejected. And Yusufa Dumbuya, rejected. All of these people have been rejected. The one person that they are accusing, or they said was found guilty of forging or forgery, Aliou Sow of God. You want to say something on that?
Lamin, I think this is the height of negligence in the highest. I don't even know how to express my disappointment on other political parties like CA and even Ibrahim Tabora Mane. How could you submit when you know that you are actually applying as an independent? You submit your documents as a political party, NAP, PAP. It just are small things. If you want to run for office, obviously want to run office, you have to be serious with small detail, attention to details. I mean, these are little details that you need to pay attention to. Just nomination forms. If you have supporters, why are you sort of 200 or 100 supporters? Just 1 or 200, and you want to run for president, Lamin, just look at the requirements. I know the case of Gab is very different. Yes. Forgery for me is the height of, what I mean. It's like when he said forging, it's like what. I want to dwell into that. I want to go into detail to find out what exactly did they forge. Whether they forged nomination papers, or they forged academic papers, or they forged other asset declaration. This is what I want to find out. What kind of forging, was that?
So, Mr. Mane, the IEC chairman started with those that cancelled their nomination. Matthew Gomez, independent, GFA, APP, Tamser M. Jase. Tamser walked in here yesterday to say that he was cancelling his nomination. Then you have Mamadou Ba, the other Mamadou Ba that just joined the president yesterday. So now, let us also talk about those that qualified. It would appear that the rumor that 6 candidates qualified has now come to pass. You have 6 people who have been announced qualified. Let's begin there. Let's begin with the UDP leader Ousainou Darboe. I mean, he's qualified, he's not qualified. All that talk now is over.
Yes, I'm glad it's over because look, all along, personally, I did not believe in Usain Dabo's disqualification because the fact of the matter is that every constitutional lawyer I have reached out to and asked this question, all of them except one literally said yes, he's qualified. So I mean, I think this was a done deal. Usually, when you hear, every time I heard it though, I was hearing it from the opposite, from those who were opposed to UDP or Usain Dabo himself. So, but no, he's definitely qualified. And this, likewise on Adam Barrow's part, you always hear people say Adam Barrow is not qualified because this is a coalition government and he is and they will give you all this spin about it. It just didn't make any sense. It was mostly coming from partisans who were trying to really kind of stick it to the other side, but there was no facts to it because this is a matter of law. When it comes to law, it's not about your personal feelings or what you think or what. There is no, in fact, in court, I think it's not admissible because it's considered opinion. So, and I think most of these things have been opinion, and it's proven to be just mere opinion, and the law states otherwise. And IEC had to apply the law, whatever, no matter your preference and whatever you want.
So father and son can now go to war.
They are going to head to head. I mean, this is
they can now go to
the
war.
battle lines are drawn. This is mano o mano.
Mano o mano.
Mano o mano.
Pastor, your opinion. 6 candidates. This is what have been rumored. That is what the IEC has cleared.
Yes.
And now we've seen 6. Your opinion on the UDP leader, for example, him qualifying. There's been a lot of talk for months. This talk has persisted that Dabo is not qualified. He is a convict. He is guilty of tax evasion. All of this really. But the IEC, one thing has also done is that the IEC did not get into the nitty-gritty. Not all of that.
Yes.
They steered clear of that. All that they did is candidates that are nominated, and they announce the name.
I think that's the next step. People will want to find out what happened, why we were qualified. I mean, of course, if you state the reason why others are disqualified, you should also state the reason why others are qualified. Because there is a big, a big misinformation or confusion about Usain Dabo's qualification. So, based on that section 62 of the Constitution where people said he was removed or dismissed, because the law is very complex and very, very, very ambiguous. The law did not tell us exactly what that means. But then at the end of the day, I think people can find redress in the court. Of course, from now on, the Supreme Court is open for any objection to these qualifications. But I think, Lamin, obviously yes. This is a big day for UDP militants because they were looking forward to this, because for them this was the breaking point for them. If Usain was rejected today, it would have been a different thing on social media. It would have been a different thing in the UDP camp. I think it's a test on it was a test on our democracy. Usain being allowed to contest based on the laws that laws that we all trusted. I think this is a win for Gambia and it's a win for our democracy.
What next for those that have been disqualified? What do you think they will now do?
I think, Lamin, the leverage.
Because these are all people. It's staggering 90% of all of them could not even collect 5,000.
They no more have. So
that is bad.
They no more have any leverage. Their leverage would have been, I'm qualified. I'll support you. I'm pulling out. I'll support you. Oh, a day before this day, 2 days before this day, after their nomination, before their nomination, they would have joined, a team that they thought would win. You know what I mean? That would have been, for me, an existence for them still. But going up to the last day and you are not qualified for complex, small reasons for, Lamin, this is, like I said, is the height of, I don't even know what to say. Missing 200 or 100 voters just to be qualified. Lamin, how can you even explain that? That is just not, it's unacceptable, Lamin. So if you come to me and say you want to work with me, looking at your track record, I wouldn't want to work with you. So they have no leverage right now. I think their only leverage is personally to go, and say I'm supporting you. But it's up to the other political parties to accept them, because we know all of these were before this day they were talking to other political parties. Probably they will go back to the drawing board, look at what happened, what went wrong, and then they will decide who to work with. But I think even with that, they have no other leverage.
So Banka, if you look at one of those that qualified, Mama Kande, he was here 2016, he qualified. So his case should be easy for the IEC, right?
Yes,
Issue of
for
him
those
qualifying,
for
because
those
he-
who have been qualifying to
Before,
run,
yes.
it's really a done deal. I mean, look, they have been there, and if they are literally submitting the same documentation that they've been submitting before,
Yes.
there's no need to disqualify them unless the law had changed along the way, which necessarily never happened. So I think that it was a given that Mama Kande and the ones that have been tested. That Halifa
And
Sallah,
Halifa
Mama
Sallah,
Kande,
Mama Kande,
you know,
President
Lucien
Adama
Dabo, Adama Barrow. So those ones really are given. Ablaye Jammeh and Essa Fall, those ones were the ones when we were all kind
The
of
new boys, exactly.
Yes,
I was going to.
we're watching very closely. Yes.
The new boys, particularly Abdoulaye Jammeh.
Yes.
He just about managed to get himself there.
Yes.
In terms of qualifying.
Let me tell you something about Ablaye.
Yes.
Ablaye is one of those very, very savvy, very, very meticulous, very, very, I would say, smart and deliberate kind of guys. If you have dealt with him just a little teeny bit, one thing you notice about him is he's very sound, very smart, very aware of what needs to be done, and because this guy has manned institutions before, and he's done a brilliant job with those institutions. I mean, he was with the civil aviation, as you know, he was their boss. Yes. And so, you know, I'm not surprised that he was careful and did this deliberately and got it done. The one that really surprised me of the disqualifications was my Ahmed Fatou. Yeah, this is a legal issue.
Yes.
And so, my being the lawyer that he is, for him to be disqualified, I think that really is I don't know what went wrong and what happened.
Signature.
I'm sure he will have time to reflect. Yes, but this is shocking, if you ask me. And Esam by far, that's why I'm not surprised that he's also qualified. Because I'm sure he looked at the laws, made sure that all the boxes are checked, and that he checked all the boxes, and that he got this the right with the way that he needs to. Because this is a legal issue. You have to meet the legal requirement. If you listen to the chairman of the IEC carefully, what did he do? He was literally quoting the Constitution. Because this is a legal matter. He had to justify every action, every disqualification, and every qualification with constitutional provisions that give rise to those occasions. So really, I mean, him being an attorney for that matter, coming back to that issue, I think that's a little very disappointing, if you will, for him to really be
what do
found
you think
disqualified.
they should do now? These people, all of these people who have been disqualified.
Well, they have no recourse. This is over. It's over for them for 2021. So probably maybe endorse somebody and you know, hitch their wagons onto another vehicle somewhere, and you know, to stay relevant and you know, maybe reflect on what they need to do.
So I'll also ask you this that I ask Basamba. The issue of those that were disqualified, the IEC chairman did mention or did give the reason for why they have been disqualified. Yeah. For those that he said have passed the test, he didn't give any reason.
No, because if you listen very carefully, he is quoting the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. What he owes the public is to explain to them why somebody is disqualified. He doesn't owe the public, if he can decide to do that, but he doesn't necessarily have to explain to us why these ones are qualified, because since they have met the constitutional requirement, and that's what all he needs to tell us. But if you disqualify somebody, you literally have to give that person a reason why you have disqualified that individual. So that's why he was quoting the Constitution. But for those who are qualified, he doesn't necessarily have to, all he has to say is, you are qualified, that means you have met all the requirements. If you tell somebody you are disqualified, that means you have to pinpoint or quote the specific constitutional provision that has disqualified their application. Now, these ones here, you are simply saying you have met all the requirements, unless we want to ask him, tell us all the requirements, and then he goes through, which is pointless. Yes. Really, that's why.
The only woman in this contest, Marisok, she too has been disqualified.
Yes. No, look, I think Mari, can we give him props for at least giving it a try, for coming out there and putting herself out there. I mean, you know, a woman running for high office in this country, I think she has proven that that's not an easy feat, by way of, you know, the way people perceive those things and the cultural issues involved, as you know, and obviously the name calling that she had to endure. She is brave. She gave it a good fight. She should be proud of herself. She gave it everything she got. Now, these qualifications here, sometimes with these things, you have to go back to your staff and then determine who did what, when, where, and then really kind of go back to the drawing board and see what went wrong. And maybe next time you can get it right. So, see, if I were, what my advice to her is, hold your head up, held high, way high in the sky, because you have given it everything you got. Yes, you have failed, you have come short But again, it is what it is. You have a chance. As long as there is life, there is hope.
Basamba, what's your view on my party, the barrister?
I mean, it's so unfortunate. I think the thing is, my party never contested on the GMC. I think also that is a determinant factor because if looking at this disqualification, I just was wondering on thinking, I was like, okay, if Uncle Hussein Dabo was disqualified, it means that UDP were disqualified, which was like going to be a bizarre, like it's not going to happen. So I think. My father didn't test the waters. He never contested on the GMC. Of course, this mistake is expected. Of course, like CA as well. But PDIs, for instance, they've been here. They've been contesting. Like Banker said, they've been submitting the same nomination. Credentials. So obviously, they have the experience and they would definitely qualify. I think this was a matter of experience, and those that tested the waters before made it. Mari Lamin. I mean, she's an independent candidate. I mean, of course, we're looking at the basis of her disqualification includes asset declaration. I think, so I mean, of course, that was scrutinized thoroughly, and then justification was given why she was not accepted. I think she will go back to Rome. Like Banka said, we should be proud of her. She was the only. She's my sister. She was the only lady that came through and then showed interest. I think for now. Like I said, they no longer have any leverage. Now, like I said, 2021 is over for them, but they should be proud of themselves. But people like my party, come on, Lamin, I am very disappointed.
How about Abdullah Jammeh? He just about, Esa Fall you can understand because you could see that Esa was gaining support. He was a fast riser. But the quiet Abdullah Jammeh has managed to put his name on that list of qualified candidates. I
mean, for me, like I said, this is about paying attention to details. Abdullah Jammeh, NUP, I'm sure, he was one of those that were on coalition talks with CA. Imagine, CA initiated these coalition talks. Abdullah NUP was invited. You know what I mean? What happened? CA disqualified. He's qualified. For me, it was about the experience, paying attention, being determined, understanding the game, and understanding the protocols involved. That was it. For me, on the side of CA, for me, I would just say was negligence to the core. That's it.
Thank you, Basamba. So this is the IEC. We were bringing you a live coverage of the announcement by the Independent Electoral Commission bosses. That is the qualification of candidates for president, the election next month. So you have 23 candidates. 15 of those candidates were all disqualified today. Their names were published, read that they did not meet the required conditions. And so they have all been rejected, save six, except 6 of the candidates. President Adama Barrow, UDP leader Hussein Dabo, Mama Kande, Doi leader Halifa Saleh. You also have the new entrants, Esa Fall, Abdullah Jammeh. So these are the people who have qualified and who will move to the next stage, which is campaign. Campaign begins next week. So these are the candidates that will be campaigning ahead of the election in December. So that is the situation here. I mean, there's been a lot of talk since nomination began last week. There's been a lot of talk as to who was going to qualify and who wasn't. But today, that has just been made clear. Thank you very much for being there. Until then, my name is Lamin Jai.